Thank you for coming out today. It's let me just say it's great to be back in Lewistown. We have a little bit of activity back in Helena right now, so it's really nice to get out of the bubble for a little while and get back to Montana. I ran for office for two reasons. One, to create more good paying jobs so our kids don't have to leave, and secondly, protect our way of life here in Montana. And that's what we've been working on. And I'm really pleased to have Steve Moody with me from the John Deere dealership here in town. He's going to make some comments here in a minute about some of the stuff we're working on. We're really committed to helping businesses prosper here. That's how we're going to create more jobs. When the private sector prospers, we create good jobs. And one way we're going to do that is with tax relief. So that's been a real focus in this legislative session. We put forward a tax relief package that's the largest in the state history. We're going to give $1 billion back to Montanans. And here's the bottom line. Montanans overpaid their taxes. We need to give it back. It's coming in a couple of forms. First, we're going to provide permanent income tax rate reductions for all Montanans. The rate that most Montanans pay is going to come down significantly. We're going to go from, when I came into office, it was 6.9%, and when we're done this legislative session, we will be at 5.9%, and that's a down payment on what we're going to do next session. So my commitment is, as our economy grows, we're going to take the surplus and put it back into permanent rate reductions. We're also going to provide meaningful property tax relief in the form of direct rebates to individual homeowners across the state. I've asked for $2,000 for every Montana homeowner paid in 2023 and 2024. This is going to be relief in some counties. That's as much as a 50% up to 100% rebate on the taxes you paid on property. Again, it's targeted to Montana residents on their primary home. In addition, it's important that we help young families. So I've proposed a $1,200 per child tax credit for lower income families with kids under the age of 6. So they can spend that money how they choose for child care or to help one of the spouses stay home with the kids or put it into diapers, however they want to spend it. I think it's best if individual Montanans decide how to spend the money. We also have proposed to expand the exemption for business equipment tax. I think this is one of the most regressive taxes we have. When I came into office, the exemption for business equipment tax was $100,000. Last session, we moved it up to $300,000. In this session, we're proposing moving the exemption on business equipment tax to $1 million for every small business, ranch, and farm in the state. Taken together, when we do this, we will take 5,000 small businesses off the business equipment tax rolls. And that's why Steve's here, and if you don't mind making a couple of comments about what that's going to mean for you and your customers.
Absolutely, thank you. Like I said, I'm Steve Moody with Frontline Ag. We're a John Deere dealership in central Montana. And the business tax exemption raising from $300,000 to $1 million would obviously leave a lot of businesses and especially ag producers with more money at the end of the year, so that they could so choose how to invest in additional equipment, training people, creating more jobs, or back in the communities to the organizations that they want to support in the method that they choose.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. A couple more things, then we'll open it up just for discussion. So taken together, these tax reforms will be the largest tax relief in the history of the state, $1 billion all in. So if you want tax relief, I would encourage you to call your legislators, because the bills aren't on my desk yet. So I'd love to have your help to do that. And Ross, maybe you can call your dad, I don't know. The other thing we've been working on is red tape relief, and I want to give a shout out to the Lieutenant Governor. I asked her to do this on my second day in office. We've gone through every line of every regulation in every agency. We've done outreach to industry groups, whether it's the realtors, the stock growers, the grain growers, all the hospital association, and all in, we've put together, we now have before the legislature 170 red tape relief bills. And to give an idea of the magnitude of this effort, just one bill that's going to focus on licensure reform, so we have reciprocity for nurses and teachers with other states, that bill alone, it's just one of the 170 bills, that bill's 400 pages long. Just removing regulations and making it easier for people to work here. So it's meaningful relief. You're going to see it removed. Again, the legislature has already passed 82% of these bills, either out of the House or out of the Senate. I think 35 of them are on my desk already. So I'm really encouraged by the progress we've been making on red tape relief. And the last thing I want to comment on is just our housing supply. It's an issue that's in every community across the state. I really think it's the biggest issue that working families face is the affordability of housing. We've been really active there. Last summer, I put a bipartisan commission together that had nonprofits, county commissioners, mayors, state officials, private sector folks from the home building industry, and they did a great job. They gave us a whole list of things to work on, and now we're enacting those. First, we're streamlining permitting. When I came into office, the subdivision permit applications, we had almost 500 that were backlogged, that were overdue. By changing leadership, paying some overtime, telling them where the goalposts were, we now have 0 subdivision permits at the state that are overdue. So that's real progress, because if you can't get a permit, you can't stick a shovel in the ground. That's number one. Secondly, we've been reforming zoning to make it easier to add a higher density and more affordable housing. It's interesting that when you build a home in Montana and across the nation, 25% of the cost is regulations. 25% of the home is regulations. That's why we're so focused on red tape relief. And then the last thing we're doing related to affordable housing, in my budget I proposed there were no programs for local water and sewer infrastructure for new water and sewer. All the existing programs, the low interest loan programs for local communities like Lewistown or other communities across the state, only would pay to replace aging water and sewer. Well, when you have a growing community, you have to put a new subdivision in, you need a way to afford that. And if you don't have a program for low interest loans, the burden goes on the developer and it's added to the cost of the house. So we have set aside from our surplus $200 million that will be available to municipalities like Lewistown and others to get low interest loans from the state if they're putting in new water and sewer for new subdivisions that's adjacent to existing municipal services. And you know, a lot of money comes with strings. The string we're going to put on this one, it's got to be workforce housing. So it's higher density. And this will make affordable, attainable housing more accessible for more working families across the state. So I'm encouraged by that. Again, I need the legislature to approve it, but we put it in front of them. I think it's good policy. So my focus every day is creating better opportunities for all hardworking Montanans. I think we have a good budget. In addition to the things I've mentioned, we're fixing what's broken in the state, our mental health system, our state prison. We've doubled the rainy day fund, and we still had money left over. So we've proposed to the legislature that we're going to pay off all of Montana's general obligation debt. We'll be debt-free here in 23. And it just shows you what you can do if you're fiscally responsible. You can invest in the things you need to. You can give money back in taxes, and that removes the friction so more people can prosper. So I appreciate you coming out today. Steve, I appreciate you being here. We'll wrap up this live stream, and then happy to visit and hear what's on your mind. Thank you.